class is in session. This is the show where knowledge is profit, just so you know. Army Piper, OC Guy, and TradeFly, bringing crypto news to the whole alumni. It's the word on the market, the one-stop shop for the info you'll need every time that it drops. The go-to show that you need right now. This is Piper Academy, it's all going down. Let's go.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode, and Bitcoin is just staying strong, sitting up at 73K. It's like playing altcoin whack-a-mole right now. Small caps bouncing everywhere, and that's going to be a little bit of part of what we're going to talk about. That, and then we got a whole lot more for you guys set up. So let's get this class in session. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Piper Academy. And today we got all kinds of things we're going to talk about. We do have some important data coming out. And of course, we're going to hit up the charts because, as always, we always give you the most unbiased TA and the most important market news so you guys can make some decisions on what you're going to do every day with the market. But hey, I don't do this alone. And I'm going to go ahead and bring on my guy, OC, because me and him are tag teaming this one together. So what's going on, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic as it's been. Hopefully you've been trading some Bitcoin because I'm sure we have. So basically we get some to one of my targets, 70, let me get it right here. 70, what is it? Or almost there, 74, almost right to the point right there. So hopefully we can get even higher before we get some kind of retracement. Nonetheless, I am keep tracking on some altcoins. So yeah, doing fantastic. Thank you.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's just the unstoppable machine right now. Bitcoin, it just keeps going and going. You ever seen those old Energizer commercials with the bunny? It just keeps going and going and going. Like that's what I feel like Bitcoin is right now. But let's get over to the chat, man. Didn't do a great job about that yesterday. So let's take a look. Let's see who's in the chat. Jay, always in there. What's up, my guy? Brakoshi No Dinero, how you doing? Crux is in there. Zach in the background. Those dudes are making it happen every day. So just so you know, Army Piper, my man, we miss you. Hope you come back soon, and hope all is well. We got prayers up for you, brother. Eric Wallen, Alexandra G, holding it down. Let's see, Blackie Chan, and I think that's it. And Gia, there you go. We got them all. Thank you guys for coming every day. We really, really appreciate that. But we got some stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get over to the economic calendar. Let's see what we got on the agenda here. And we got Thursday, which is tomorrow. We got PPI month over month. That one can have a little impact on the market. We got retail sales month over month. And then next week, Wednesday, March 20th, that's where we got to hold on tight a little bit. I would expect some volatility because you're going to get the Fed interest rate decision as well as you have the FOMC economic projections and then a Fed press conference. So you're going to see probably a little bit of volatility, one with the interest rate decision, which we're pretty much going to chalk that up as they are going to maintain where they're at, right? They're going to kind of keep it status quo for now, which means they're not going to reduce the interest rates. I don't know that that's really going to have much of an effect because we already are kind of expecting that. I think the retail is, at least. And then you have the Fed press conference. So kind of depending on what gets said during the press conference, you'll kind of see the market move depending if they're a little hawkish or a little bearish. So keep a lookout for that. But other than that, nothing too crazy. That is a biggie. But let's go over to the crypto bubbles and see what we got popping here. Ton. That one's up 19.1%. WIF. That's a biggie. That thing's been pumping out of its mind. We'll probably bring that up on the charts. Take a look at that. Like I said, it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole right now with some of the small caps and the meme tokens. I mean, it's wild watching those things pump. Maker, haven't seen that one up here in a while. Maker was a good project back in the day. I know my buddy was very, very bullish on that project, but haven't really heard much about it lately. BNB's pushing up. Ape, all right, that one's actually been getting crushed. I actually went back and looked at it on the monthly and like the year returns for Ape. It hasn't looked good for Ape. So good to see that one's moving up again. Quant's up 15% and Algo 11.6%. So other than that, let's see if anyone's getting hit too hard. Nope, just Hex, and I don't mind that. I got to be honest with you. So that's down 8%. Other than that, I mean, it's a mostly green day. So the trend just keeps continuing. Up and right is the story here. So let's look at Bitcoin on the chart. And I got the hourly pulled up. Let me go ahead and we can just look at this because you can see the trend, right? We got up and we pushed through the all-time high here, and then it came down and actually retested it. So, you know, it's something we always talk about. We look for the retest. It retested the all-time high, found support, and then it pushed back up again and then set another high. And now it's finding support here, or trying to find support here on our high. So it's a bullish trend. I mean, there's no real denying it, but we'll break it down more once we get into the TA, but it's wild to think about. I mean, here we are right now, 72.6, and it's not pulling back hard. So, man, exciting times. Let's go over to the liquidation heat map. Looking at that, in the past 24 hours, 96,384 traders were liquidated. The total liquidations came in at 329.86 million. That's wild. The largest single liquidation order happened on OKX, and that was actually ETH, and that value was at 7.85 million. So what I think the trend that we're seeing right now is that people are trying to short the market, thinking that inevitably it's going to pull back, but the market keeps pushing up, and those dudes just keep getting wrecked. So I'm not going to short the market. I mean, I'll do a little scalp here and there, but I can't go hard in the paint on a short right now. It just is what it is. Looking at the liquidation heat map, the only concern I have is, well, it's not even really a concern. It's probably a good thing. But you're looking, and it's starting to build up here. Look at all the liquidity that's actually building up high. So again, people are trying to short the market. So it's a really weird case of saying it gives Bitcoin the opportunity to actually push up a little higher. Now, when I say that, you could probably see a wick come up and clear out this liquidity and then come back down into the range is kind of what you see happen, right? Like it'll come down. You see these wicks like here and here. Look, it's just clearing out this liquidity, then coming back down, and then it comes back in a range, and then it moves back up. But I mean, here's your kind of like your hot spot, right? Is really around 65.9, and there's a lot of liquidity sitting there. I mean, you can see at 65.9, there's 600 million. At 65.950, there's 500 million. So, I mean, think about it. That's $1 billion worth of liquidity sitting in this area. That's a lot. So don't be surprised at some point, you know, it comes back down to kind of grab that liquidity. But let's go over to some news. What do I got here? All right, MicroStrategy CEO reveals Bitcoin endgame, and it's probably not going to be what you think. So if you actually read the article and look at what Michael Saylor actually said, he was like, endgame is who can own the most. Like that's it. That's his strategy. Like how much can he actually acquire? And it was funny because he was getting outpaced by BlackRock, and what did he do that morning? He's like, no. I'm buying more. And he went in and he bought another 12,000 to put himself back on top. So that is literally this guy's plan, is to own the most Bitcoin. Wild. This dude is invested. So props up to Michael Saylor. It's funny now watching him go to some of these conferences. He's like getting standing ovations, which is hilarious. All right, so 1 billion inflows in one day. Spot Bitcoin ETF sets a new record. So looking at this, I mean, like this is going to kind of push and drive the narrative of there could be a liquidity issue. And I'm going to cover that in another story as we get a little bit deeper. But I mean, the newly launched Spot Bitcoin exchange traded ETF just knocked off another major milestone with Bitcoin's ongoing bull run. So latest data is really saying that more than 1 billion of net inflow on March 12th. That's crazy. That's a record inflow. And what do they have? Let's see here. If we talk BTC in terms of record, all right, so 14,706 Bitcoin inflow was actually reported on the 12th. So that's the actual inflow of the Bitcoin. So that's wild. We just keep going up every day. Like it seems like every day that we go, we get this story of new record, new record, new record. So you're starting to get, I don't know if it's a bit of FOMO, but retail is definitely starting to jump in, and mom and pa and uncles, they're starting to get into these ETFs for sure. And people are seeing the gains, right? So the people that jumped in early, that got into these ETFs as soon as they launched, they're already like making more than the average return in the stock market. So, I mean, they're going to talk about it, right? They're going to go to work. They're like, yeah, I invested in the ETF. And then somebody's going to be like, well, cool. Like, yeah. And they're like, I just made 25%. And they're going to be like, whoa, like, let me look at this. So you guys got to take that into account, that retail is going to start jumping in hard. And this might only be the beginning. And I'm not trying to be, a super bull, but like, the more I read about it, the more that I'm starting to become of the mindset that, that kind of aligns with this story that we're going to see here. And it's really saying that there could be a liquidity crisis. Now, that's a strong word, right? That's kind of clickbait in my mind. But what I'm thinking is that it's a supply and demand. All right. So we're getting to the point where the demand right now is exceeding the supply. It's exceeding what the miners can supply. And then it's just, the demand is so tight that it's not going to be cool to own a Bitcoin at some point. It's just going to be cool to have like half a Bitcoin. It's going to be cool to have a quarter of a Bitcoin, because that's going to drive the demand will drive the price, and the price will continue to go up. And then, you're just going to have fractional shares of Bitcoin that are going to equal what one Bitcoin equals right now. So I really see that in the future. Like, I think that can happen. And definitely if we stay on this trajectory, I can see that happening, and definitely 3, 4, 5 years, where that's the new thing. Yeah, I got 0.5 Bitcoin, and like, you're sitting pretty. So that's what I got for news. Let's go over to the duo cam and kind of talk that out a little bit and get OC's thoughts and see what you think about all that, man.
Absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with you on the Bitcoin trend. I mean, we're seeing retail, and retail, under my eyes, it is just a moving power, right? I mean, the only difference between a Bitcoin and a whale is that retail. I'm sorry, between retail and a whale is that retail never gets together to do something equally impressive, but when it does, it kind of like get destroyed all. So if we start seeing that FOMO on the retail space, we absolutely going to be seeing the bullish. Remember, my prediction is somewhere around half of $1 million per Bitcoin. So it seems like we're getting there faster even of what I've expected. Nonetheless, on the altcoins, I do see possible retracements bigger than that what we can see on Bitcoin, because right now the FOMO is on Bitcoin on the altcoins, and I'm still grinding my way in. Remember, guys, that I was sitting on 70% on cash on my altcoins, and I am slowly buying back in as we have some retracements on those articles that I'm expecting and I'm looking at. But yeah, I mean, another impressive movement was BNB with a 10%. And hopefully you guys stayed on that trade, because I sure did. That was a very nice one. So yeah.
Nice. Well, sweet. Let's go ahead and start getting into some TA. You got anything you want to look at on the charts first?
Yeah, we can take a look at Bitcoin, and also one of my areas that I was expecting. I have 3 main charts in here. Let me go through those very quickly so you guys can relate to the charts that I'm looking at. The first one that I always point at is what I'm looking at, this kind of patterns. Remember, A, B, drop, and then pump up. Then A, B, drop, then pump up. So that's been playing fairly nicely. And then we have on the same one, these 2 calculations, basically the first movement and the whole pennant. So we have the first movement going to 78K and the pennant going to 83K. Nonetheless, we did a more kind of a realistic target, and this is it based on the previous movement right here. And we just basically almost, look at that, almost hit that target at 74. Okay, so basically we are still on track. We did not have the pullback that I was preparing for. That's still fine. We're hitting this area up here, and everything is kind of moving. We need to take into consideration that we're building some bearish pressure, but that we make that bearish pressure with those bearish momentum. Because we are on the bull market doesn't mean that we're going to be retracing. Remember that sideways market, it is also considered retracement, right? So just be careful out there. We did move sideways and then ended up breaking out. It's not about the breakup, it's about the retest, and then off we go. We'll see how when we start flipping back down. So far, we are not in the green cloud right here, so we could still see maybe another movement to the downside. And what kind of movement to the downside? Well, that's what I'm going to be placing this trend line here, and I'm going to be looking for another retest. If we start breaking this trend line to the downside, I will be looking once again for the prediction or where my dynamic reactor is at, and then maybe aiming at those zones for a possible retracement like we had in here. Nonetheless, if we don't see a breakout here and we keep seeing pumping up and oscillating above the zero line, most likely we're going to keep pushing to the next target, which is 77 or 78K. So that would be pretty amazing. Remember the chart or the chart that we are looking at yesterday? Seems like we're going to be reaching it out faster than expected. So yeah, turning it back to you, TradeFly.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to be super quick. I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, kind of zoom out a little bit, take more of a macro look. And, one of the areas that I'm always concentrating on, I just went from the two highs here and I drew basically a line right through it. And this kind of correlated to where I thought Bitcoin was going to go by the end of 2024. I didn't think we were going to push up this fast, to be honest, but one of my target areas is 88K. I mean, we're on a crazy trajectory. At some point, I would expect to see some sort of pullback, because this move itself, I mean, let's go ahead and look at that move itself on its own. That's a 77% move. I would expect some kind of cool off at some point, but it feels like to me that retail is really starting to jump in right now. Now that could lead to a little bit of a correction, because people may take profits, and that's going to happen. But where's that mark at now? Because we've kind of passed that psychological area of the all-time high. So then it's like, well, is 70K that psychological number? Nope, we pushed through that. So where is going to be that psychological number? Is it going to be 80K? That would be a nice move up, and then we have a little pullback and then retest the previous all-time high. I mean, maybe, but we are getting overbought on the weekly. So, but we've talked about that before. That doesn't mean a whole lot, besides that we are in a bullish trend sometimes. That could just be your indication to be like, hey, we're pushing up and we're pushing up fast. So you'll get into an overbought because you're using an oscillator. Oscillator has that natural up and down movement. So it's really hard to take a lot away from that. Now, if we're in a range and we're on the 4 hour, then I would probably, take a look to that to see if it's correlating with something else on the chart, if I have some kind of confluence. So just looking at this, this is an area that I'm looking for, and I'm just putting it out there. Please understand, I'm not saying we're going to 88 and we're going to 88 now, but that's an area that I would look for some sort of resistance. And I would be shocked that it's this simple, but it could be this simple. So this will be an area that I'm looking for. This red line right here is the predicted halving. And this is a fluctuating target, just so you know. But it's in about, I think right now they're predicting about 34 days or so. So somewhere, in this area, you're going to have the halving. And traditionally, you see a little bit of a pullback before the halving. I don't know. It's different than we've ever experienced. So we've never had this kind of money flowing into Bitcoin going into a halving. So, just a quick look, like I said, 88K, just a line, for you guys to look at a potential area you could find some resistance just based on these two highs and drawing a line out. Just something to look for. But if it does pull back, I would look for it to, get confirmation of this area as support, which is the previous all-time high, before we see a continued move up and right. But it's hard to say right now. You just heard all the stories. You saw how much money is flowing into Bitcoin. It's really hard to say we're gonna pull back. So I'm riding the wave with you guys. I got to be honest with you. So if you want to break it down and look at the 4 hour and the hourly, I think OC just kind of broke that down for you. But that's just a kind of quick looking from the macro perspective at Bitcoin and where we could actually go.
Absolutely. What is your target right there?
Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is 88,000.
88,000. Oh, that's
Yeah,
pretty nice
so
because if I start looking, yeah, you see that little peak that you have to the left. I mean, the very first one on the board run that where we get started
yep,
previously. Yeah, we have from the flat line all the way down to your left,
the flat line.
like somewhere around 10K. Yeah, somewhere around
Okay.
10K. And
Okay.
then yeah, but exact, but to your left, and then we see the first up run to make a kind of like a bullish flag, right? And then yeah, we see where we can measure exactly that movement and then also compare it to the next one, and probably we can also be comparing it to where we are right now. So for example, if we start measuring the first exactly run, we already have yeah, and that one exactly, yes. And that could be compared to when we hit the trend line to your right, where we're having, yeah, the EMAs to that area right there. It wasn't exactly a bull flag, although it was a little pause in there, or a little bull flag, right? That keep going up. So we could be seeing the same thing. So we could be closer to those areas. And for me, when I start measuring those two runs and start compensating for the movement, I do have somewhere around the same 100K as for the target. So maybe that could be as easy as that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, so if you when you measure those out, I don't know if you saw the percentages there, but that move to the bull flag, the first one was 200%, and then the move all the way to the all-time high was 400%. Our move right now from bottom to top, if we took out that middle area that looks like a potential bull flag, still is only, I think, 100 and some percent, 170%. So it you could only be halfway there right now, which is insane if we were following kind of the same trend as that first move up to the first all-time high there when it got up to about 64K. It's wild to think about. So I don't want to get too bullish,
Absolutely.
and I don't
I
want to be
think
like we're going to the moon, we're doing the 100K thing again, but it's impressive. It really is, and it's hard to argue against it at this point.
it is. It absolutely is. I mean, the only thing that I will kind of like adjust will be setting the charts on a logarithmic. But other than that, I believe that we are right on spot with the possibilities of getting there. I mean, but yeah, guys, let us know if you want us to take a look at any assets. We'll be more than happy to take a look at anything that you guys have. In the meantime, let's go to my charts and let's take a look at that I have BNB, because I've been looking at BNB for a while now, and I believe we have some movers right here within our hands. So look at since when we've been planning on taking those entries. By the way, I did enter right here when it dropped down here. I was expecting for the flip of the ribbon. I did enter on the pullback, so it did not quite reach all the way down there, although we were looking at it because we have a predictive range right there with the purple line. I just was a little bit cautious then, and then jump at as we had a retracement and start going back within this line. So as you can see, it resulted in a very, very nice trade right there. Not only that, I keep holding it, and remember that we have this broadening wedge or this megaphone playing out as a two basis for our for my rooftop analysis here. And as soon as we start breaking previous stops in here, you'll see that we just not only turn bullish with a strong signal, but also we have a beautiful movement to the upside. Let me go to daily and start zooming out a little bit in here so we can start comparing important areas, because BNB right now, it is killing it. So at this point, look at where we are at right now. We are very close to previous highs. Let me go ahead and throw there some support and resistances. And this support and resistances, despite they don't go all the way up, it will be start giving us a possible channel of retracement. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is marking the tops and bottoms. So right here, this other one here, and also I believe I'm going to be marking this other one here because it catches this previous week, this other top, and this other one here. So as you can see, we're very close to that area, and a possible pullback could be imminent. So do not chase after prices, guys. I mean, I know it's cool to kind of see BNB do that bull run, especially if you are into it. But again, we need to start moving a little bit with cautions, right? Look at how many overbought golden boxes we have, and we are flat on the oscillator. And not only that, we are very, very, very compressed on this cloud in here. And let's take a look at what happened previously when we are very compressed on the cloud. Let me find an area where we're as compressed as that. Well, this could be one of those areas, and then we have a movement to the downside. Although I believe right now we are much, much more compressed at this point, since we're not only for longer, but also for we're more reduced in the channel here. So we could be seeing a dramatic pullback on Binance soon. So just be careful on that one. So yeah, turning it back to you, TradeFly.
Right on. So I am pulling up TMC, which is the metals company for Eric Wallen. Looking at that right now. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to have a bullish trend here. You see that, and it's kind of confirmed with the prime oscillator. You see that up and right trajectory of the RSI. So it's going up and right, and then it popped. It looked like it broke through a level of resistance right in this area here. So yeah, it's starting to make its move up. And I mean, you can see if you're looking at the dynamic support and resistance levels, or the chemtrails as we like to call them here, there's an opportunity that this thing could push up pretty easily up to about $3.29. I would probably put it a little bit lower, maybe about $3.22. That's very much in play. You do have a little range here. 283 is another area I would see, and this is on the weekly, so this is kind of a little bit more of a zoomed out look at it. But let me go ahead and draw a line here for you. You probably find a little bit of resistance there at 284. And then really your key area is going to be at about 3.22. So anywhere in that zone, it could definitely push up. But, you like to see it get over this area right here, and then kind of find that confirmation that we're flipping resistance into support. So let me go on the 4 hour and see what we're seeing on there. That gets a little busy. Turn that off. Yeah, so it exploded through that area because you see there's resistance right in this area here. It exploded through, right? So that's one thing that I always talk about. You want to see that explosive movement to give you confirmation that you had, that is an important area. Let me see. Looking at the daily. I mean, it's tough, man. I don't know if you're looking to get into it. Let me look at the chat, see if he said anything. The metals company. Yeah. I mean, is this something that you're looking to get into at this point, or is this something you're already in? Because you are at an area like I said, you push through. There is a gap here. It filled that gap. There's another gap here. You could probably find a little bit of resistance in this area, just looking back left on the chart. But man, I would say a nice push up to this area is definitely in play, just based on some of the volume that's at those support and resistance levels. So let me see if he said anything. Nothing but nice. All right. It's probably going to be delayed. Yeah, man. I mean, I would be careful at this point. Like, if you're not already in, be careful. I would probably prefer to see some sort of retest of this area here at about $1.68 or so, just to get confirmation of support being flipped into resistance, and then look for that continuation of the upside. So you have it here and then come back and then go up would be my play if that's something you're trying to get into now. He's already had a pretty big move up. So what's up? Did he say something else? I'm already in. Oh,
he's already in. Yeah.
Sweet, man. Cool. Yeah. Then you're looking pretty right now. So you could find, a little bit of resistance, but like I said, man, overall, it looks pretty good. Let me see how the resistance levels. Here you go. So here's a couple areas of resistance, but again, there it is. You see that high blue? That's really what you're looking for. And what I say, 318 or 322, I think or 284. Okay. Yeah. There you go, man. That pretty much solidifies it there. So yeah, that might be a good trade for you. All right, OC, I'm gonna kick it over to you, man. What do you got?
Absolutely. I want to take a look at ARB for our friend Dylan Martinez. And also we have a request for INJ And who requested it? Let me see if I can see it right here. It was from Black Chan. I don't know if you want to pull up INJ, although I
I can do
will
that.
be tapping back on INJ because we had a possible following up on on an analysis that I did yesterday. But yeah, let's take a look at this area ARB and look at this kind of like a spaghetti. I know it's a little bit confusing, but bear with me. And we were looking at where all the way where could the price go. Also, big support, or sorry, big resistance, main support, and huge support. All right, let me just start turning on a couple of things, and you'll see that we're hitting not only big support but also a high order block right there. So this is going to be the same thing that we're going to be doing at this area, and just keeping a track where could we be going up to, and also what the range could be. Why? Because if we go to something like daily, we'll know, or we can see that we're into a huge range. Let me point that range out in here for you, and this is looking almost exactly as a YCAF range. So basically going up, having this kind of a little range, V-shaped recovery, the next low not lower than this range, and then we could be going maybe for the spring here or for the breakout on that range. We need to be a little bit careful on where the range is going to be breaking. Nonetheless, it looks like a Wyckoff range right there to me. So once we have already identified this, we're also going to be noticing that we have a reversal, a peak seeker, and a bearish divergence. Again, we need to be careful. Why? Because we are still bullish, very, very, very bullish, right? And also, something to note is look at where the green cloud is at. At this point, we can see the green cloud, it is very close to the zero line, which means that we could maybe keep going downwards until we meet with that green cloud, and that could be where we start flipping up. So basically, the ribbon start moving upwards as the red cloud stays below and keeps rising up. That would mean that we could be having still a retracement in this area all the way to the soft order block, and also we have dynamic reactor coming in strong, which means that we have big support at this area. And as you can see, everything is pointing out that we might not be piercing through that dynamic reactor. This is a highly volatile asset, but highly volatile asset. So at some point we could be seeing some wicks maybe down, very violent movements somewhere around this area. So just be careful. Areas of entry will be for me 1.73. In fact, I'm going to be setting up an alert slightly above right there, so I have an early alert. In fact, I'm gonna use this previous high and use it as an early alert right there. And then when that alert gets hit, I'm gonna be looking at the flip of the ribbon on my oscillator right down here. And the next entry point will be after I break out, not at the breakout point, and that is going to be for me. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'll be looking and expecting for a retracement because I could be having this spring. And at this point, I want to hold a little bit to see if I either hold it or bounce from it. If I bounce from it, I'm going to be doing a late entry. Nonetheless, I will be trying to jump in after the confirmation for that area. Why? Because I see the Wyckoff pattern there, and I don't want to get trapped on that possible spring. So that's going to be maybe my entry after I go for a bounce of this area, and then setting my stop loss somewhere between the range. Usually I go to the middle of the range, but since this is daily, that is just pushing it a little bit too much. But remember, this is daily. Let's just take a quick look on the 4 hour to see how is it looking. Maybe we can do some more advanced or more precise areas. And as you can see right here, we have a resistance. So let me just adjust my boxing here and also adjust my possible entry, because I will also be dropping down these two pulsing here because they fit way better on what I'm looking on the 4 hour. Let's just wrap it up with some other indicators. Let me see, like right here, we have a negative outcome or a deficit on the calculations between positive and negative volume. Therefore, I'll still adjust this one just slightly bit more like this one because I want to jump in as Smart Money did and push the reaction down. So far there's gonna be two major movements. If I retrace, I will be jumping in with retail at these areas right here for the long when I do have flip of the ribbon, especially on daily. All right. And then after the breakout for a retest after the confirmation that we keep going upwards. So that's what I have on ARB. Turning it back to you, TradeFly.
Right on. So I know that you said you're going to do INJ, so I'll let you handle that. I'm going to look at GALA. That was moving on the charts pretty good.
Sure.
Something we haven't talked about too much recently. I know there was a request quite a while ago. He was talking about getting in, and I think he was just talking about DCAing into it. And I know that was in this area. I see this little blue dot here. So I think that was an area I was saying, hey, this is probably where I would look at it. Would be my guess. I usually circle those areas to be like, hey, this is where I would look for an entry. But man, this thing is pushed up over 200%. And just looking at it, zoomed out a little bit on the charts, looking at the weekly, I mean, it's pushed up to an area of resistance right now. So, and this makes perfect sense. You have a big pump up, and then you find, hey, where did I had previous areas of resistance or correction, previous area of support, previous area of resistance, and then came up and then broke down, right? So this little zone here is an area that I'd be looking for. So you want to see it actually keep this area of support. Otherwise, you could have a nice little breakdown and just falls back into the range. But if it does hold this area of support, look at this, man. I mean, look at this. There's nothing in this area, and you see it. Look, explosive move up for GALA. That's an unreal move there. And then, this big breakdown, right? So there's not an opportunity for a lot of volume to build in this area right here, which makes it potentially a pretty easy move for it to come back up into this area when we start talking about 17 cents or so. So, that's a pretty big move. I mean, nothing crazy to talk about now. It's a 143% move. I mean, we see that in a day sometimes for some of these like smaller cap, projects. I think GALA is growing quite a bit, but it's also one of those ones you got to be careful of because I don't think GALA was actually meant to be an investment. That is coming from some of their leadership. It was just supposed to be part of the ecosystem. So, be careful there, but at the same time, it's something to look at. If we do hold this area of support and it starts moving back up and right, it could be an opportunity there to get back in the game and to catch one of these big movements. Because like I said, there's not a lot of volume in here and there's nothing really to hold it down. So what am I looking at right now though? It is getting the overbought. All right. So that explains the pullback here. Let's go ahead and look at this on the daily. And it looks like it's trying its best, but look at this. So this is how it's a really explosive movement here. It keeps pinging up. It's just pinging and pinging and pinging, overbought. But now it looks like we're starting to maybe form a little bit of a bull flag. So if it holds here, there could be an opportunity for another movement up. So that'll be interesting. Just looking at that, that would put just a little move up to maybe about 11 or 12 cents, definitely in play, just based on looking at the bull flag. But you need to hold support here. All right, so be very, very careful. If you're looking to get in now, understand like the move was here. All right, that's the move you wanted. And now this one's a little bit more risky because you're playing a pattern, with anticipation. I mean, once you start getting into overbought and you've already had a pretty big move play out, you got to be more careful, be more conservative. Look at having a tighter stop loss just in case that it actually breaks down, because you'll see that quite a bit too with some of the, I'm not going to say smaller cap, but, ones that don't have as much liquidity behind them. So that's GALA.
Nice.
What you got, man?
Oh, well, I do have INJ, and also it seems that we have WMT, COP, and QNT lined up. Maybe you can take one of those. In the meantime, let's take a look at my charts because I do have INJ, and we've been tracking INJ for a little while now. And I also want to bring up a couple of things on daily, but let's get started with 4 hours at this point because we already have a prediction or a calculation for what could be happening up next, right? So we've been looking at these areas right here, and how can we tell? Well, because we've been breaking through key resistance all the way up here. We can also see, and let's just leave wait for TradingView to react here, to wake up from its nap. And there we go, breaking key resistance all the way up here, going all the way to negative outcome or deficit right here. And what I'm expecting, because we are having an overbought and also a flip of the ribbon, it is a possible retracement to this area right here for a next continuation to the upside. So again, let's just wait for, there we go, trading view to start reacting. And we can also see something very, very interesting, which is the same WIF pattern that I've been that we were looking at previously. So let me go for a little boxing here. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. And we can see that little range. Then we see the V-shaped recovery, and then the low, not lower than this area. It could be equally, but not lower. And then we have the range bouncing up and down, bouncing up and down. And this is a breakout, possible spring, or actually a continuation. So we need to wait for that retest, or at least I'm going to be waiting for that retest to consolidate and then keep moving onwards. My key point of entry will be flip of the ribbon at support. All right, so I need to see at least those two. And where do I have major support? Of course that I have it right here. So when the price is going back down here, I will be looking for that FOR, flip of the ribbon, for a continuation of the movement right there. It could be a very fast flip of the ribbon or a very fast pullback. So I need to be with my eyes wide open. For that, I'm going to set an alert all the way up here, and also set another alert right down here, right before this area of confluence. So let me just bring up something else before we move up, and this is why it's important to take a look at different time frames. Like for example, right here on the daily, I would kind of like be looking more as a bull flag than a range, although a range is much more suitable on the 4 hours. My brain will be looking at something like this, and let me draw it very quickly. And also update it. Let me update it like that, right? And then after I see this, I can see that I have something like a bull flag happening here, and I do have a pulley here. As we break through, we go for the retest, and the possible target is all the way at 61.68. So far we are half the way there. And but I will still be playing out the 4 hours, since the 4 hours for me have a way best result, but I still have in the back of my head the daily outcome for possible targets all the way up there. So yeah, turning it back to you, TradeFly.
Right on. All right, I got a quant up on the daily. So what I have right now is a fib extension, just going from low to high and the pullback. It looks like it's getting pretty close to playing this one all the way through, and that lines up with an area of resistance. So looking at a horizontal level of resistance, this all is kind of telling me the same thing. So that is where I would expect to find some resistance. And here you go, here you go. So, I mean, you got a couple areas here that kind of line up on the charts. And yeah, this is up for debate here. You can see, if you zoom in a little bit, it did fight with that area quite a bit. Boom. And so that would tell me that you're going to look for some resistance in that area at about 153, 152.9, 153. So looking for some resistance there. That would be probably an area personally that I would look to be taking some profits. But if it does continue to push up, then of course, what do you want to see? You want to see it push through and then flip that resistance into support for continuation of the upside. We talk about that all the time. But if it pulls back, let's go ahead and look at some areas here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Let me see here. Get rid of this for you. Doing some live stuff for you. Let's do a fib retracement. All right. Let's go from this low here. All right. So looking for a pullback and seeing kind of where that lines up, right? So looking at this area right here, all right, so you see resistance, resistance, and that lines up with the 0.5. So that could be an area of interest if it does pull back about the the 130 area. That might be an opportunity to get back into the game if you missed it, right? You can see right here, this one's pretty clear as well at the 382. That's very clear. You have support, and then just right down to the 0.5. Yeah. So I would be looking for those two areas right now. So if you're trying to get into the game, 130 might be an opportunity for you. If you're looking to get out of the game, or maybe even flip it the other way, 153 is probably the line in the sand for me, where I would be looking at either a potential short or maybe getting out of a trade. Just depends on how you play the game here. Now, if you're looking for it like long term, where can we go? You're just hodling it because you guys are just wild. Trend is bullish, all right? You had the low here. Now we're setting a higher low, higher low. Let's go ahead and look at this one. Let me draw a line for you. Trend line. Boom. All right. So basically, it almost looks like it's starting to form an ascending triangle. All right. So you got pressure actually pushing up and right when you have that series of higher lows. And then you have resistance here. That's kind of this horizontal area of resistance. So what you might see, let me get out of this real quick. Let's pull this out. What you might see here is it push up and then come down and see if we go like that. That could be in play. So that might be something for you to look for if you're holding like long term. That might be something that you see play out with quant. So I mean, it's definitely got some room. It can get back up to the left, like it's been there before. And that's one thing that I'm seeing in the chat right now, right? They're like, hey, like my GALA took a big hit. Yeah, everything took a big hit, like for sure. If you look at Cardano and some of the other tokens, like look at where they're at time now in comparison to when Bitcoin was at its all-time high or right around in that area. And when you start doing that, you realize that a lot of coins just haven't kept up with that movement of Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. They're not moving in direct correlation. So what I would expect to see is that rotation of money. Once Bitcoin and Ethereum start to kind of level out and find some sort of consolidation, they find that range that they get stuck in because it's inevitable. It's got to happen at some point. When that happens, that's when I'm going to start looking for some really explosive movements. Now, I know like it feels like we missed some of it because some of the meme coins have been popping off and some of the other projects. I mean, Sol's made a nice move, but Sol's not even, look at Sol where it's at right now and where it was. Sol was over $300 and Sol is still in the hundreds. So there's a lot of money that can still flow back into some of these altcoins. It's just making sure you're in the right project. And, if you believe in it, then don't be scared to stay in it because it's going to have its day at some point. We just got to wait for that rotation. The big players right now, Bitcoin and Ethereum, like that's really where the money is. Other things are moving really fast because they're smaller cap and they're easily influenced by, money flowing into them. So just understand that. So, if you're in it for the long haul, like don't be scared, continue to DCA. The trend right now is it's now bullish, right? Because we had that downtrend. We've now flipped it, and now we have an uptrend. So up and right, all good. It's when we break out of this. You lose this support area right here. That's when you get a little bit nervous. Like, oh, okay, like that might be time to get out. If you see it break down, get under this, and then you start seeing it break down. Let's say we actually continue this down, come up, and we go like that. Then that's when you get nervous, right? Because now you set a lower a lower low. And then that is going to push you down and right. So that's what I'm looking for on quant. Ultimately, right now, still in a bullish trend.
Awesome. We still have lined up a Walmart right here on my charts. Let's take a look at those because it is very interesting. Seems like we are on
OC,
all-time highs on Walmart. Yep.
it's not supposed to be Walmart. It's supposed to be World Market Token, I believe.
Oh, Walmart, you're talking? Oh, perfect. I thought it was Walmart.
Bro, don't worry.
I mean,
Eric was
we
asking
can
for
take a look at those ones.
what was the one that I did? TMC, and I was like, what is that? Is that Toyota? Like what?
Oh man. All right. Maybe we have here we're talking USDT. Perfect. I think we can do it on KuCoin. Perfect. Let's take a look at it. Well, Walmart was very interesting because we are in all-time highs, but whatever. Let's take a look at World Mobile Token. All right, so yeah, World Mobile Token. Thank you for that, Zach. Let's take a look at right now. So let me show you that we have very few information here, so we'll need to go farther down the rabbit hole into a lower time frames. I believe 4 hours will be enough. yeah, I believe that we have enough information on the 4 hours. So that is basically good. So let's get started by knowing whether we're bullish or we are bearish. So the first things first, we are bullish because we are on our prime score green. We are above the zero line, and also we have green candles, and we are above the dynamic reactor. So easy peasy, right? So how far can we go, and where can I be going maybe in here? So I always tell everybody that every single bull trend has its retracements, right? Has its retracements. I'm not saying that right now we're gonna be retracing. It does still need to be seen. Although we're gonna be looking for those retracements to start jumping into these movements, right? It is not good to chase after the prices because sometimes you can start buying all the way at the top, and then you have a very, very unpleasant surprise when it starts retracing on you, right? So at this point, let me get started with adding a couple of my indicators. The next indicator I'm going to be looking at, it is my prime trend resistance, which is indicating me that I'm having again some bullish momentum, and I also can see with the flip of the ribbon right there. So what is it up next? I need to look for support and resistances. For those supports and resistances, I'm going to be turning on this other indicator, which indicates me where the liquidity zones are at the moment, right? So let me just clean this up. Let's wait for TradingView to load it. And there we go. Perfect. These areas, we can see that we are right of that liquidity areas, and I need to be careful because they could be pushing them down. After we see those wicks at the top, we usually see a retracement, right? Wick at the top, a little retracement. Wick at the top, well, we still don't know if that's going to be the end of the retracement or we're going to be having a next retracement right there. And it remains to be seen this rank for the volatility. So we need to go back above, maybe find the retrace, and then wait for that trend assistance to make our way up to make as a support, and then off we go to the races. But let's take also a look at something else, whether we have something closer. Let me clear everything out back here, and let's take a look at where do I have my golden lines, because the golden lines are the most important lines in this game for trading. So far, we did find support at this one, and again, we could be going all the way up. And as you can see, we are very close to this other 100% rank, which again, it is, let me bring it up to you guys, which again are my liquidity zones right here on my indicators. So looking for the next possible movement, as I have a flip of the ribbon right down here, flip of the ribbon, and then pierce through this area, going for maybe a retracement and waiting to see if that is going to be holding. If that breaks, I'm going for the next support area. And if start bouncing from this area right here, I'm going to be aiming for the next purple line, which is somewhere around 34-38 cents. So yeah, that's what I got. And thanks for that, CTS Rhythm. And also trying back to you, TradeFly.
Cool. So this is going to be a Bitwise, one of the ETFs. We've talked about this one quite a bit, but just taking a look at it, like coming back, revisiting, let's see where this thing has gone since we've talked about it, because, you know, this is the areas we had of interest, and man, this thing has moved. Like, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. So this purple line, I want you to see this. This is when the ETF came out, right? So right on that purple line, I mean, it's moved 50%. And so this kind of feeds into that narrative of what I was talking about before, why people are getting excited about these ETFs and why you're seeing these massive inflows is because people that got in day one, they're up 52% right now. You think they're not going to talk about that? Like, I would be like, hey, I'm smarter than you. You keep your, 10% that you're making in the market, and I'm going to go ahead and make 52% here in what? This came out in January timeframe. So in March, so in 3 months, 2 months, like I'm up 50%. Yeah, I'm the smartest guy in the room right now. So you better believe like this retail, it's just getting started, especially when you got a 50% move. I mean, it's wild to think about. So again, yeah, we were looking at this dynamic reactor, and then there was some areas I was looking at, some probably like smaller time frame trades here. I think we went up to this area, then we were looking at getting back in, and then the area of resistance. So I think we made 2 trades up, or we're talking about making 2 trades up here, which was like a 23% move. And then, of course, as always, what do we talk about? We're like, hey, there's an area of resistance here. You want to see it come back down, flip it, make it support, and then it's shot back up. So wild to think about, man. These ETFs are moving. It's wild. And then let me pull up BITX. I don't know, like not everybody's really tracking on this one. So this is a volatility share where you can 2x. And look, see, I got this area. Dude, this dynamic reactor on the chart prime is insane sometimes, especially on the daily. So it came down, it tested the dynamic reactor, and then it found support there, and then it shot up. And this is back in January. So about similar time frame as the ETF, right? 200%. So this basically, if you want to get in, through like Robinhood or something like that, you can do that. You don't have to. This isn't a coin on Coinbase or any of that. This is a volatility share. It's an ETF, but it's a 2x. So if you guys are degens, something for you to look at. Just understand, easy come, easy go when you start talking about some sort of leverage, right? So, if it moves hard in either direction, it can be a good thing, but might be something for you to look at. If you got some degen money you want to play, that one could be out there for you. But I mean, we've already made a big move up. That's the scary part about a lot of these things right now, like especially Bitcoin and the ETFs, is like the exponential moves that has happened so quickly. It gives me a little bit of pause, right? So if you're in, you're good. Just set a stop loss, bring that up, make sure you lock in some profits. But if you're talking about getting in now, this is where like I can't go hard in the paint right now. I can't take a large amount of capital and be like, yeah, I'm in right here after we made 50% move. So that's the area that I get a little bit of pause. Let's actually do a fib retracement on this. And don't take this for gospel because we've already had this move up. All right, let's go here from low to high. And this is making an assumption at this point too that this is the high, because it might not be. So just looking at this, where I could go, there is this area, look, fill that gap pretty nice. But you do see there is an area of support at 0.5 there. So I don't know that we're going to revisit that though. So just to be perfectly clear with you, but if we do, that might be an area for you to look at, for potential trade. We'll always look at the golden pocket, and that does line up with some of the, not quite, but it's pretty close. So really the area right here would be this like prime area, I think, at about $30. If it were to ever pull back, if we got a big pullback, then I would definitely be looking at this area as an opportunity to get in. So yeah, just a quick look at that. Just wanted to point that out to you guys. If you're degens, you want to use a little bit of leverage, but you want to use it through Robinhood, or what's the other one out there? There's a couple of them I can't even think of. I mean, you obviously have your major brokerages like Schwab and all that. But anyways, you can find that on the market. There you go. Just pointing that out for you. Looks like we're 2 minutes out, man. You got anything you want to say on the way out?
Absolutely. Just thank you everybody for being here, grinding with us every single morning, and also helping us out. Please hit the like button also all the way down there. That helps us with the algorithm and also shows your support to us. Thank you so much. And then it's time to go rate another server. Let's throw it back to you.
Yeah, that's my alumni. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's go. All right, so haven't done the old shield sesh, so we got all the links down in the description. Go ahead and check out decrypted.tax. I think we might have him on the show. I know there's some talks in the background about it. So that'll be a pretty cool episode for you guys to get some insight on taxes and crypto and how to handle that. And then, of course, legendary aviation coffee. We always got that one. So got to give a little shill for that. That's actually one of my buddies. He's down there in Texas with Piper. So yeah, hey, come find us on Twitter. You got our tags over there. You got the real OCG and TradeFly 8 on Twitter, Army Piper, Piper Academy. You got Crux of Crypto, ZTS Rhythm. Come give us all a follow, man. We love interacting with you guys. It's always good mixing it up with you guys in the chat as well. So we also have a Discord. Come on over there. We do drop some trades as well as just, mix it up, have a good time in there. So a lot of banner, a lot of good talk going on in the background. And some of the people on the show are wicked smart with charts, and they actually provide some good TA. You'll find some of that in there as well. So, there's always that talk, right? It's surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and that are talking charts. It's just going to do nothing but make you smarter by being in those groups. So that's one thing I've definitely learned. So rolling up on 7:30, looks like it's time for us to get out of here. As always, thank you everyone for watching this show. It is definitely appreciated. And if you enjoyed it, hey, give us a like and subscribe. We're trying to grow here, baby. Let's keep this going. That I'm out. And use a stop loss.
I don't know what they keep telling me. I don't know what they keep telling me. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling out the wheels fall low. I know you hungry for knowledge, that's profit appetite. Classes in session, this for the Army Piper acolytes. TradeFly, get the soul train ready. What a line from OCI, former Mexican spaghetti. Yo, crunch crypto with a deep dive to project dime. And if you like the visual powered by Chart Prime, then you were part of that alumni, that's all spine. But if you have step, fall back to offline. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling out the wheels fall low. Sound off.
To get with them, the ZTS rhythm. Rip it, Alexandra.
Yeah, that's my alumni, you know what I mean?
That was awesome, dude!